But it's Tuesday night, time for another live Wicked Horror Show. I'm Kevin, and this week I'm joined by Angel from That Strange Show.
Yeah.
What's going on, Angel? And Tony has 9 fingers, as always.
What is going on, Pete? You cut that a little bit early, actually, the end of the song. But anyway, what is going on, people?
Yeah, I didn't realize it. But anyway, I didn't cut anything, actually.
How dare you?
Oh, yeah. So would you like to introduce our very special guest?
Sure. Writer, director, actress, you name it. I think she's done a little bit of everything. I met her at New Jersey Horror Con, and she's on for the movie Sucks to Suck. We have on Fallon Vendetta.
Hey, guys. What's shaking? How are you?
Not much. Yeah. So you guys, so are you, you said you're in like the Colorado area, right? I was going to say, are you local to the New Jersey area?
So I actually live in Pennsylvania,
out
in the woods, but I was just in Colorado. So
I know.
I'm like all over the place at the moment.
So Tony met you at the New Jersey Horror Con, which is a show that I've been wanting to go out to. I just haven't. One of these years, I don't know. It's a bit of a drive. I'm in Mass. Angel's in Mass as well. So it's a little bit of a drive for us, but it's not that bad, I guess, right?
Well, they're changing the thing too. It used to be in Atlantic City, but I think now they're going to do it in Edison. So it's a little bit closer of a drive.
It's closer.
Okay.
4 hours instead of 6.
That's better than 6, right?
Yeah.
But so he, like he was saying, you were on for Sucks to Suck. You've done a bunch of other things as well, but do you want to give a little breakdown of what the movie's about that you're still in production on?
Yes, we are. So we actually took a little pause, and we're doing the last block of filming now. But around Christmas, I was supposed to do some other projects with somebody else that's involved with this project, and there was like this weird pause in production because they were indies as well. And I don't like downtime. I'm like, this is dumb. Like, that's wasted. Let's just do something. So there is my real life best friend. Her name is Sophie, and she and I started like a little podcast kind of thing. We weren't doing anything with it. I mean, like we did some little teasers, and we just hadn't had time. And I was supposed to go see my grandmother on Christmas Day, and I was just like, man, I'm tired. I'll see you. It's a holiday. Like I'll see you tomorrow, whatever. And so I talked to one of my colleagues, and I was like, since we have some downtime, I think I have an idea. Like, I'll call you back in a half an hour. And he was like, okay, fine. So I called back in a half an hour, and I was like, all right, this is what we're doing. Like, and he thought I was insane. He was like, how are you going to film at any of these places? Like, what are you even doing? So basically, like, you write from what you know, and you write, from resource. Well, I do personally anyway. And, there were all these really cool events that I had been invited to. There was like a vampire ball and, some tattoo conventions and all this stuff. And I was like, how do we make that into a fun project? So I was like, all right, here's my pitch. Here's what's happening. There's this girl. She's got absolutely horrible bad luck. She needs to make a change in her life. And she just, falls down this rabbit hole, starts doing stuff on the internet, and she actually becomes part of something more sinister. And he's like, okay, that's pretty typical. And I was like, yes, but I was like, listen, I'm like, we have this scene at this vampire ball. We do this, we do that. We have this band. We have all of these people. And he was just like, this is so much. Like, how are you even going to get clearance to do any of this shit? Like, you're out of your mind. And I was like, I'm a step ahead of you. Like, I already did. And I was like, if we shoot in a faux reality format, we can even break it up into smaller pieces and like do something cool and fun. And he was just like, you're nuts. So I was like, it's valid. Okay. But so basically, yeah, it's this girl that's got really shitty luck, and she's got to move back in with her mom, and her mom doesn't know anything about her life. So since we're doing it faux reality format, it's me. I have to move back in with my mom after this failed relationship. And I decide that I'm going to do princess parties as my real job, to hide the fact that I'm like this tattooed girl from my conservative mom. And this incident happens with Prince Charming, and there's a video that leaks which you'll see what actually happens later on, but it kind of launches her into this realm of this secret society of bad people. And they're like, this girl's an easy target. This is it. We're going to make money. So they try to take us out. We accidentally kill a bunch of them. That's why it's called Sucks to Suck, because we suck at what we're doing. They suck at what they're doing. Everything sucks, but it all works out in one way or another in somebody's favor. So
Nice. That's cool.
it's just a bunch of fun, stupid debauchery, honestly.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. That makes for fun watching, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, like some
debauchery is always fun.
Right?
Exactly. Time flies when there's debauchery.
And we started in like a faux reality format, but as she gets more involved with these people and she becomes part of this other world, then towards the end, it's like full cinematic style. It's not so I know my editors are like, oh, Jesus Christ, like, why are you doing this? Because it's like so many different formats, but it's fun. There's so much you can do with it that way, you know?
Yeah. If you mix things up within the same movie, that's pretty cool. Like, it's almost like almost like a found footage to like a really high end, like kind of like.
I'm not going to give away our ending, but it's rap video style. It's ridiculous. There's like expensive cars and explosions and ridiculous music, and it's when I say I went over the top, I went over the top.
Yeah. You didn't even know how to start with that, like explosions. How do you? Well, you're in Pennsylvania. I guess you could probably figure it out there.
Oh yeah, you can get away with doing a lot of stuff if you talk to the right people.
But you said you're out in the middle of nowhere, so that's a plus too. You don't have as many neighbors to complain.
No.
Yeah. So Tony was talking about before we went live about the cast for this one. So Tony, what drew you to this when you met her at the convention? Like, what was it that we're like, you know what, we need to get her on the show?
Well, first, the setup was awesome. And one of the main things too for all of us collectors, she was mentioning that one of the formats that it's going to come out on is a little VHS. Oh, nice. So talking to that, because it was on a little TV and all this, and I'm like, okay, that definitely piques my interest, even though I don't collect VHS anymore. Just because of the space, it's one of the okay? Peanut gallery in the corner. But anyway, just the table, it seemed awesome. And then as we were talking, Miko Hughes was also at the same convention, and she mentioned, oh, well, Miko's going to be in it. And then Catherine Corkin was mentioned, and we've had her on before, and just it all seemed like it definitely be up my alley. Everybody knows, well, not everybody, anybody that listens to this podcast knows I like the mesh of horror, comedy, and stuff, and anything that you can mix all together and make one thing, I enjoy. Because sometimes if it's stuck to one genre, it kind of gets boring and dull. If you can take a few different things and kind of, as crazy as it's, some of my favorite movies have that, like, what is going on here? But then by the end, it's like, this is what I love, because you can't, it doesn't get boring. It doesn't get dull. It's always something new that's like, okay, I didn't see that coming. I didn't see this coming. So that's definitely what drew me into it.
Nice. Well, and that was the thing. Like, I kind of, I'm a grown up. Okay. I wanted to have fun with my friends. Like, I wanted to do a project with people that, we actually have a great time together, and we all share like really similar qualities and like similar beliefs, and like, we're all at these events and stuff together anyway. So it just kind of fell into place, and I'm really thankful for that. And there's a lot of other people on board too that I'm excited about it, but I'm not.
It's not anyone that you can like this. You have to.
No, because it's gonna ruin some things if I talk about it. But like, it's pretty wild how, like, as we were saying before, it is kind of a trickle down effect when certain people get involved with certain things. And then I had other friends that are in the industry too call me, and they're like, "What are you doing? Can I just do, like, I don't care what I do. I want to be on this. Like, I want to be a part." And it's like my friend Aaron. There's like a new Duck Dynasty movie coming out. I forget what it's called, but it's like based on Duck Dynasty, but he's like one of the main guys in that. And he's in Wrath of Becky, which is out now. Like a ton of other stuff, Pledge. But he's like, dude, I want to be on your project. Like, this is going to be great. And his scenes are I don't know, like top 5 on this project. They're my favorite because he's just so batshit crazy. Like they're so much fun, and he's just so wild. So it's like, I don't know, it's just a good time all around. So I'm like, worst case scenario with this project, here's my thought. I'm like, everybody wants a different level of success. Do I care if it's some like huge blockbuster project? No, I don't. That's not why I made it. This is like the antithesis of like the corporate anything, because there's so much shit in this that I feel like you can't really get away with in mainstream projects anyway. And like, I don't know, just this mesh, this inner working of all of these people, and like it's such a good time. And I feel like if it sucks, I warned you in the title.
Right.
At the very least, you can sit in a theater, or you can sit at home with your friends, and you can be like, this is stupid, I hate it, and I love it. Yeah. And I've accomplished my goal. Like, like at the end of the day, we're all sitting and laughing and having a great time. My friends love it. So,
some people checked it out. If they love it, they love it. If they don't, oh well, there's a lot of other stuff out there.
I warned you. It's fine. Yeah. Watch something else.
Exactly. But I think there's a lot of people that are clamoring for that difference. Because nowadays, how many times do I hear, every horror movie is the exact same in this, and every day it's like cookie cutter. So I know for me, watching so many movies, I want that difference. And it's one of those movies too where, things with movies where it's like, the ones that are always ingrained in my head are the ones that are so off that it's like some of my fake Killer Clowns from Outer Space, I'll bring it up. Right. So different than anything else, but that's one movie that I will remember for the rest of my life. For Rubber, the ones that have those different plots that I'm just like.
Whenever anyone asks, like, what do you recommend? It's never like the cookie cutter, or it's never like the classics. You know what I mean? Like, even though like because they've probably already seen them, it's something that's going to stick out. So if it sticks out, that's awesome. It's probably going to be recommended.
Like, it's just been fun too, even from a soundtrack standpoint. Like, we have like there's a lot of pop punk. There's so much original music for this. Michael Vampire from the band Vampires Everywhere is in this during all the vampire ball scenes.
Nice.
Like, it's just like a whole eclectic mix, and it's been really neat because I, was in the music industry years ago, and I wanted nothing to do with it after some of the stuff that I went through, and I kind of got talked back into doing an EP for this, which is cool. So then I'm like, all right, I'll do one last little stint in music, but it's on my terms, which is awesome. So it's just fun, and we're actually talking about right now with some of the film festival partners in Colorado about putting together this whole music and film festival to release Sucks to Suck At in October in Colorado. So there's like a lot going on in one shot, and I'm not mad about it. And I was like, I will do it if you let me build a haunt. That's my.
That'd be dope.
And
so to get into the concert, you have to go through the haunt to get in there.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing.
Nice. So real quick, Sergio's in the chat saying hi to everyone. What's up, Serge? Life is great in the chat. Same deal, saying hi. What's going on?
What up?
Saul Rodriguez Jr. How long did the project last? Like, how long did it take? Like, I know you're not complete on it. You're almost done, but how long have you been working on it?
So I wrote the basic. This is wild. I wrote the basic concept for this in a half an hour on Christmas Day. We started filming 2.5 weeks after that. Oh, wow. So everything was like, go, 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 go. Again, everybody was like, this is insane. I was like, no, if I say I'm going to do something, like, I do it. So we jumped. And we had everything like pretty much funded because it was all in-house. Like none of the locations or anything. It was either people offered them to us or I was already there as like a guest of honor or whatever. And we've had a lot of amazing opportunities with this that I feel like a lot of people don't have. Like the vampire ball scene, if we would have had to construct that, if we would have had to create that for this film, like our budget would have been ridiculous. The amount of money that we would have needed, like, forget it for that alone. And one of our producers, John Wallman, he does a bunch of stuff on Broadway, and he did the Nanny musical too, which is in LA right now, which is funny. But he was like, yeah, I want to be a part of this project. And I was like, John, I'm going to need to drive your Ferrari. And he's like, okay.
Wow.
All right. So I was like, sweet, you're on. Let's go. Like, it's been a lot of wild stuff, but we were shooting really pretty solid through so January, February, and into the beginning of March. And then there were some things that, I mean, it's still indie film, some things that needed to shift. And, like other people that were on team, like with other projects and whatnot, we had to shift some things around. And I didn't want to do the ending just kind of You know what I mean? Like, I was like, if we're going to do this and we're already at this point,
all this other stuff. Yeah. You don't want
to so much other cool shit. I'm like, I don't want the ending to just be like, okay, whatever.
Wrap it up. Wrap it up, guys.
Be somewhere and then just at the end.
So I was like, all right, well, we're going to pause for a little bit and then we're going to do a recollective thing. So now we have other people like coming on and we're getting ready to gear. We actually just filmed another bracket in Colorado because we shot the scene already and I hated it. So I was like, it's great when it's your own project because you can just do it again.
Yeah.
So we don't have that much longer. We're gonna I think shoot the final sequence the very end of July, the beginning of August, and then everything's done.
Nice. And then it's into editing and then planning that party.
Yeah, and we already have like the stuff that's already shot for the most part is rough cut.
Oh wow.
So it's just plugging in this final block and then doing our visual effects and
that's cool. See how you do it.
Yeah, so you're maximizing your downtime. So so it's not just the project's not just sitting there waiting for a scene or certain things to line up. You're working
and it probably would be if it was like a bigger budget kind of thing. It probably would be just hanging around because someone got some other stuff going on or whatever. Well, now there's the writer's strike and everything too.
Yeah, which is great because it doesn't really affect me. And I shot everything purposely in a faux reality format because if you're doing self-taping and you're recording like any of that, you don't have to deal with any union, anything. Like I'm SAG, but for me, it's like working as a producer or whatever. There's certain things that I want to be able to do that you can't do under that.
Yeah.
So.
And Saul's asking if there's a anticipated release date. Didn't you say around Halloweenish?
It's going to be around Halloween. Yeah, we were going to push to have it out earlier, but then I was like, no, there's no. I don't want to rush it. Like I want to just have fun. I'm kind of maybe I'm kind of writing it out for myself too because I'm
let's keep doing this for a little bit.
If you're gonna make a fun movie, like a fun horror movie, might as well put it out around Halloween. Like that's the best time. Those are, maybe it's something where because it comes out at that time, it may be something where, it gets added to the regular rotation for some people, like around Halloween. Like there's certain movies that I'll just add because it's, reminiscent of a time, in my life.
Well, it's like, I mean, I don't know. I grew up. I think that was like a lot of people. That's like your time to feel normal or whatever. You know what I mean? Like. I was a performing arts kid, but the way I made my friends is we always had these crazy Halloween parties. So that was the only time it wasn't like, ooh, the nerd. I was like, yeah, come to my party, guys. Like, so I felt cool. Like, I don't know. Anything that correlates with Halloween at this point is still like, I don't know. It makes me feel like a little kid. I enjoy it.
Oh, totally. It's
like, if we can release this and have a music festival and
those are all things that you love. Yeah. RW Martin's in the chat saying,
what up?
In a long time, it's been a long time since we've talked to RW. What's going on, RW?
What up, R-dubs?
R-dubs. And you mentioned that you were in the music industry for a while. Tell me more about that, please.
Oh, God, do we have to?
I was going to ask because you said EP.
All right.
And like all that stuff.
I'm not going to get into super specifics because I don't need to, but I was like ghostwriting a lot. I worked years and years and years ago when I was like young. I did some music stuff and then I just didn't really touch it. And I was ghostwriting for this guy and I wrote some albums that were kind of like Marilyn Manson-y, whatever. And, like he seemed all right. He seemed kind of cool. And then he was like, hey, I want to get you involved in some other stuff. And I guess growing up in entertainment, it's not like I go online and like look people up. Like I was so out of the loop. Plus like I had younger kids, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I just work here, whatever. So So this guy was like, hey, you know, like I would like to have you do some other stuff. Like, would you do this music video, whatever? He's a little weird, but I got paid really well. Like, and I thought it was just kind of a persona. So then I started doing more work with him. And then lo and behold, I got announced as the new band member of this band. And I was like, wow, we didn't really talk about that. That's awkward. All right. So it was a big Warped Tour band that was like Hot Topic's #1 selling merch at one point.
Oh,
so
wow.
I got sucked into being in Blood on the Dance Floor.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I didn't know that guy was like an actual creep. So it got really pretty nasty. And it sounds, I guess, kind of crappy to say, but we ended up with like a really cool deal in Japan. And I was like, no one's going to know this music. Like, it's not a big deal. And then it ended up on iTunes top charts. You know, he got worse and worse and worse. So like, aside from knowing the other stuff that he did, it was just like, this is like a toxic environment. I don't want any parts of this. And I was like, this is definitely not music that I want to make. So I was like trying to find my way out. And then I got contacted by Chris Hansen.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So after that, I was like, okay, like people, you don't, you know what I mean? Like no one had really come.
This was a long time ago. Now that
it was like, what, maybe 6 or 7 years ago now. It was like 7 years ago. And it got like really, really pretty bad. And I found out so much crazy stuff, like blew my mind, absolutely blew my mind. So, you know, it was like obviously left kind of a bitter taste in my mouth when it comes to doing anything there. And I was like, I'm done. Like, I don't want to be involved with any of that. And I think that's part of the reason why Sucks to Suck is like so personal to me too, because I really lost my love for the arts period after that. You know, it was like, it was traumatic. I thought that I was okay. And then, you know, I did like a couple interviews about it or whatever. And when it really started to sink in, I was like, holy shit. Like, this is bad. Like, this is like a terrible thing, you know, and it's hard to not blame yourself, but you're like, how did I not see certain things, or how did I even get involved with somebody that's like that, you know? So it was like this weird, like dark thing, this dark weight that I was like carrying. And I don't know, it just left me kind of like,
yeah, like, okay.
Creative, you know what I mean? Like, it was just, I didn't really want to be around people. I didn't really want to be in public light much. Like, I didn't want to be involved. And then so to kind of like come back into things and start doing that again, and then to have this come to the table and have so many supportive people and friends around me again, I was like, oh my God, this is great, guys. Like, I just wrote this thing. So you know what I mean? It, like, from every shitty situation, I guess it depends how you look on it, but I try to use all of the downs, you know, as a means up. And it made me realize that there are definitely certain things that I used to be very naive to, and I'm not anymore. So I feel bad for some people, because I'm like, now I just stand my ground. Like, it is what it is, and that's it. But I'm like, listen, you don't even want to know. Okay. It's all.
That's good. You've had the time to grow, and you didn't stick too long into that.
So it's you know, there's like some things, like obviously I got to do some cool stuff with that. Like, I got to work with an incredible team in Japan, and you do meet some people that are really great people, but you know, it's like, now I can talk about it a little more and just kind of move on. But I'm glad that now I can do things on my terms, you know, like, and everyone that I'm surrounded with, like, I'm so, I wouldn't say guarded, but I'm really careful as to who I work with and the energy that's around me. And like, if you don't fit that little bracket, you're not. I just don't. Bottom line.
No, it's true, because there's no more time for wasting time or energy, and so.
Well, especially
what are you currently working on now? Besides, like, okay, that's like, what are you? Because you said you you got asked or like got pushed into the music part of the movie?
Oh my
So,
God. So I have a lot going on. Like literally my day consists of, so my friend Eric with Prophecy Records, so he's like working on my EP with me. So he's like, we're going back and forth on instrumentals. So I'm like writing, doing that. We have all this other stuff that we're locking in because there's still people coming onto the project that want to be involved or want to do like product placement or like, so I have to make all of these little adjustments for the end. It's constant, like, and all of these conventions that we're lining up now. So I'm literally on this project 24 hours a day in every aspect. Like in between doing my other stuff, it's like, it's a lot. I think I was on the phone for like 5 hours today, just sorting out stuff and dates and other actors. And
well, it's good though. I mean, at the same time, it's a lot of work, but it's something that I'm sure when it's
it's happy work. Like it's not, there's certain things that obviously, it still feels like work, but does it really if you really enjoy it? No.
Well, that's what they say. Yeah. It's not work if you enjoy what you're doing. So I guess you're the queen of multitasking too.
Oh my God, I try. I don't know how good I am at all of it, but I try my damnedest. So
there's a reason they call it work. Is because it's work. It's not vacation. It's work. I work in collections, so I get yelled at all day. That's my job. But talking to people that don't suck sometimes is cool. Yeah.
Oh, I did get a mini vacation though. This was kind of cool. So Sophie, who is my best friend in the movie and in real life, I have to take like 2 seconds to talk about her because this chick is not only an incredible human being, but everybody jokes around now with my antics. They call it being Fallon tiered because I like to push people's boundaries too, especially when I know they're talented. And I'm like, just do it. Just do it. I'm like the biggest cheerleader. So I was like, hey, Sophie, I wrote this movie and, Haunted Attraction, the podcast we started. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, well, we're going to use it in the film. And she's like, oh, okay, cool. That'll be great. And I was like, yeah, well, but like, you're my best friend in the film and you're my co-star. And she was like, what? So she's never acted. She's done like haunt acting and she's done some podcast stuff, but I literally I couldn't see anyone else in that spot but her, and she breaks so many molds. Like she's not the typical cookie cutter what you see as the final girl. She's not like the little mousy haired like little girl that is like this big explosive thing at the end. She's a tattooed full figure woman and she's absolutely gorgeous and she's so talented, and she's finally now starting to do the conventions with me, which is awesome. So she was a guest of honor with me out at the Norco Tattoo Convention where we got to plug Sucks to Suck, and we actually film a scene where we accidentally eat edibles, so that's pretty fun.
Accidentally. Oh, and the scene was accidental.
Look, somebody gave them to us. We it was gummies. They look delicious.
Like start filming, guys.
Yeah. Here we go. This is gonna be good. 150 milligrams right here.
We were in Colorado, okay? So
the elevation.
Yeah, exactly. Blame it on the elevation.
But so when we were out there, she's a horror buff too. And I talked to Eric, who, works with us with Prophecy. And I was like, Eric, I have to do something to surprise Sophie. Like, I know we're out here for work and I know we're doing stuff, but I'm like, we need just a little vacation time. I need to she needs to touch grass. Like, she's never been to Colorado. I need to take her into the woods. We need to see some freaking goats. Like, can we and he was like, Fallon. He was like, have you ever been to the Stanley Hotel? And I was like, holy shit, is that near us? I had no idea. I had no idea we were that close. So I surprised her. So I was like, get up, Maybelline. We're going venturing. So I got her up so early in the morning. Now, mind you, we stayed up the entire night shooting. So we got like 2 hours of sleep. Okay. So I'm like, get pretty. We have to match. And she was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I have a plan. Just go along with the plan. So we were matching outfits and we showed up at the Stanley Hotel and she lost it, like absolutely lost it. And I was like, oh God, don't cry. We're having a girly moment. But it was the coolest experience because we were out for work, but we had a couple hours of vacation time and there was a freaking thunderstorm at the Stanley Hotel while we were there. Like, how perfect. It was great.
Yeah,
That's
Can't book it any better.
That is my vacation.
so this just because it's in the comments, and I don't want to forget people, but so this kind of goes into the whole Stanley Hotel and whatnot. Sergio is asking if you believe in ghosts, like you believe in real ghosts. And then we have another couple questions about the movie. Like, Saul's asking if this is your first indie movie, and it's not. If you go through and look at her IMDb,
first directing, yes, but
you directed a short though too, right?
yeah, I've directed a few things, mainly like music videos and shorts. This I wasn't even going to direct, but I was like, you know what? All right, why not?
Yeah.
What?
So yeah, I would say go check out her IMDb, and it's there's a bunch of stuff in there. And 13th Wolfman, I don't know why you're not here.
What up?
He's asking what the hardest thing about making the film. What was the hardest thing about making the film for you, like for you specifically in this project?
For me specifically, all right. So like I said, I wanted to do a project with my friends, and I wanted to do something that was kind of like the anti-corporate film. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to kind of push limits in a certain way, and I didn't want to fit into like a specific bracket. I was like, I want to do, like Step Brothers meets Evil Dead. That's like, I just want to have fun. And I realized really quickly on, that we did have access to a lot of things, like I said, but the people that tried to come onto this project and tried throwing money at it, like large sums of money, and the control that these people wanted, that to me was just like mind boggling. It was like, well, okay, we'll have this person direct it. You can stay in this role, but we're going to put this person in, in Sophie's position. And and I was like, I'm not doing that.
Right.
Like, I'm not pulling out my friend because she's not like she's not a known actor. She's not like, that doesn't matter to me. That's not why I put her there. Like, if you watch her, like the girl kills it legitimately. And then it was the assumption that, I thought maybe people learned something with Weinstein and this last shit that I dealt with in the music industry. Like, I literally was like propositioned so many times on this film. It was like, oh, hey, like, I'm going to give you this. I had one guy that I had known for a couple years actually. And he was like a fan, and he would send me things randomly and was always kind of a cool guy. Was never creepy, whatever. He came to some signings, fine. And he had approached me and he was like, listen, like, how much do you need for this block of filming? And I was like, realistically, like, I can finish this entire project with $15K. That's it. Like, everything else, like, we're free and clear. And he was like, I'm going to give you the $15K. Like, can we do some product placement? And I was like, yeah, sure. That's fine. And then he started with the whole, like, oh, you're going to be my date to the premiere, right? And I was like, well, I mean, you can come to the premiere if you want to come to the premiere. I already knew where it was heading. And the trickle down just got so bad. And I was like, listen, if this is why you're doing, like, you're not doing this. Like, you're not doing this because just because you try to throw $15K at me, that's not like, I'm not going to sleep with you. Like, I don't know what your attempt is at this. And it happened 6 times. Not just him, 6 times.
Crap.
So I, at one point, was offered $2.9 million for this. And that obviously there were strings there too. Like, it just, I don't want that.
People are gross. I just want to point it out. People are gross.
That's gross.
Dude, it's bad. It's really bad. And I don't, I try to put myself out there in a professional fashion. And, I get it. It's a toss up with entertainment. And there's a certain kind of draw to people, right? Like, you wouldn't be in entertainment if people weren't drawn to you. Like, if nobody's going to watch you, why would you be involved? But there's also a time and a place. And just because, like, I shoot lingerie at one point, or I'm on a magazine cover in lingerie, doesn't mean I'm going to be like, hey, I'm ready for this.
Yeah. That's the twisted mind of some individuals. That's like,
and that's what people don't understand about, well, a little bit of everything, like the industry itself. I mean, just hearing some of the horror stories, and I'm sure it happens all the time, that the stuff that you don't hear about, it's still going on, which is crazy.
It should not.
It shouldn't. But
for me too, like, you have somebody. Okay, so I dealt with somebody, obviously, who assaulted, all these people. I've been, I don't even know what word you can say in here, but I was assaulted when I was younger. Catherine Corcoran dealt with so much stuff in the film industry when she was younger. You know, like Sophie's been through things. Like, so I'm trying to, you know, not everything in this film, I guess, is like PC. It's not. It's still horror. So we still have elements of like sexuality or whatever. Like that's fun too. But it's all. It's at our comfort level. It's the way that we feel good. It's the way that we have fun and we do things in a way that like we show what we need to show without over exploiting somebody. And I would never put anyone in a position to make them feel uncomfortable ever, or do something that they don't want to do. Like I want them to come to things with open arms. So if you're setting any kind of boundary or making somebody uncomfortable in any way, shape, or form, I don't care what price tag that comes with. Like absolutely friggin' not. Like not.
And that's what.
The Turkish fans actually saying that's when you know you have too much money, is when you're just like, I'm just going to try buy people now. Like that's crazy. It's gross.
At one point I was like, 15K? Like, is that all I'm worth? Like, I thought I was aging pretty well. I was I'm like, you only offered me 15K? This guy bought me like Versace robes, and that's all you're coming to me for? Come on.
That's crazy.
And that's the thing I don't think the mainstream audience knows about. Like, that's why some movies
with because of the Weinstein thing, but that
I'm not only that side of it, but like even you said that you don't care if the movie bombs or whatever. It's your project, which I 100.
For me, it's already a success. The people that's already, but yeah, from a financial standpoint, like that's not the goal, you know.
No.
Like, but yeah.
But like the audience too, they have no idea what goes on. They're like, "Oh, this movie sucks." It's like, well, do you realize that this probably wasn't anywhere near the movie that they wanted to make? Right. Everybody throws money and tries to change and pry and do this. It's like, and that's why another reason why I find it awesome you doing because it's your project, it's your idea, and it's like nobody's touching anything. And that's why I think I love independent more, because you know you throw whatever it is, and a lot of times too, people are like, if it doesn't stick. I think 90%, well, maybe not 90, that might be but a lot of the time it sticks better than because that's what everybody wants to see. So just this too, I want to see it that much more.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, like you said, on your own terms.
Right.
You know, all around.
That's the thing is, you know, with, I mean, the success of, I've brought it up probably every week since I've seen them, but success of Terrifier 2 and Skinamarink, like both being completely made on their own terms. Terrifier 2 doing like extremely well. Skinamarink being made for $16,000 total and making over $1 million. And it's like, it's insane. And it's great.
Starting conversations like on both sides, down the middle. And, you know, that's the whole thing with like independent film. Like, yeah, you could push the envelope because it's your envelope to push, you know what I mean? And like you said, like getting, when you start asking, like, trying to get producers, and like you said, they start saying, okay, well, here's $4,000, but I want to change this scene. And then like sometimes you're like, fuck, all right, let's do that then. But then you just lost a piece of something that you've been, if say you wrote the movie 10 years ago, you've been holding on to that piece, but now someone bought it off it, you know what I mean? And like made it their thing, even on the small scale. It's like, because we've talked to other people that, they've taken on producers and they come in like, we're going to change this, change that. And they're like, here's your money back. Like, we're not doing it.
Definitely people from that aspect too. It was the same kind of thing. It's like, well, or they just don't understand what it's about. And I'm like, well, okay. Did my partner explain this to you? Did you like, what are you not grasping here? Like they don't understand the grand scope of things. They don't understand, like, it's basically like a funny fuck you to people being taken advantage of is exactly what it is, And so I realized the people that don't get it, it's because they're on that side of the fence.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that's why it's not resonating, buddy.
You're like, you know what? It's not landing with me. I don't know why, but I'd like to change that so I feel included. Like, nah, buddy, you're on that side.
So Sergio asks most of the time, but what is do you have a favorite horror movie? I know it's kind of hard to answer. Like I know I have multiples. It all depends on the subgenre. But is there one that you would say is it definitive? If not, like
I don't have a definitive. I go through the same thing where it's like, when I was little, I loved Lady in White. That was like my favorite movie in the world. I would watch that like all day, every day. Like Killer Clowns, Evil Dead, like the normal. I like that bracket. I think that's because where, you know, it's like my youth. That's where I fed in. So like anything that's like in that 80s, early 90s bracket is like.
Was one of those?
I love like VHS slashers. Like it's just, you know.
Do you remember like the first movie that actually affected you, like as far as like scaring you?
Yes, and it wasn't even my fault. So I got in trouble for it though. So I was at my cousin's house and I was like flipping through. It was like late night and Night of the Living Dead was on. So I made my little cousin watch it with me and we came up with this song and we were just walking around like Night of the Living Dead. I remember it in my head. It was so stupid. And he like freaked out. He woke up screaming in the middle of the night and he's like, they're going to eat us. And I'm like, for like the next 3 nights while I was down there, this kid was having like the worst nightmares. And because I was older, I got blamed for it. And then it made me like, oh God, like, is he really seeing something? Like it freaked me out so bad that he was like so convinced that, yeah, I was a little weird.
But at that point you were hooked, right? At that point.
I loved it.
Yeah,
and I used to also, my dad wouldn't fully let me watch everything that came on through like Tales from the Crypt, but I loved the Crypt Keeper. Loved the Crypt Keeper. And I also used to watch like a lot of like black and white TV with my grandfather. It was his thing. Like he loved like John Wayne and the Munsters. Like we watched the Munsters all the time. So, like in my head as a little kid, I was like, I need that harp. Like that was like my goal in life was to have a Lyon and Healy harp because that's what they had in their living room and I have one now. So that's my retirement plan, is just to be a crazy naked old lady who plays my harp. That's it. That's
people to get off your lawn. So Saul, he was on last week too in the chat, and he always has really good questions. So I appreciate that. But he's never realized that how quid pro quo. I almost stumbled on that. The movie industry has been, and he'd like to see more people like you directing. But how would you navigate around that whole kind of situation to succeed?
I mean, look, I think the cool thing about how we have more access to technology and stuff now that we didn't have before. There are things and tools that are in your hands that other people didn't have access to previously, right? So, yeah. And I think that if you have the drive, you don't even necessarily need the tools, because if you have the drive, you meet other people that are driven, you work together, and you can't truly do things on your own. People that are like, oh, well, I did this by myself. Or, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. There's always somebody there. I mean, this is like my corny, like maybe like hippie view on things, but like, all right, if you look at a tree, right? A tree doesn't grow on its own. So it's rooted. It needs soil. It needs water. It needs light. That's how a tree grows. And then it talks to its other little tree friends. So it's the same thing, you know, in any aspect, whether it be work, whether it be something creative, you're only really as strong as who and what you surround yourself with. So if you go into things like, there's plenty of shit that I don't know. And, you know, talking to my friend Eric, because I was like, oh man, I hope they don't ask me like super in-depth things about certain projects, or because sometimes I'm like, listen, I just work here. Yeah. Like I'll be completely
things either. So
yeah. I'll be completely brutally honest about it. Like if there's something I don't know, I'm not going to BS you. Like I don't know. But what I do know is that it's that whole, if there's a will, there's a way kind of thing. And I think navigating through that is doing stuff like horror conventions are a great tool for that. Like previously you weren't really allowed, or not allowed, you weren't really as able to access these people, right? So if you go to these conventions and like even you hang out afterwards, you get to meet people from all aspects, whether it's an actor, whether it's a producer, it's a director, or whether it's just a fan. But they're people that are there because they're inspired to be there. You know, like they're there to have fun, and there's so many creative people. That I think is your way of navigating around it. That's your way of just like putting yourself in the position to navigate around it. And what you don't know, if you have the willingness to learn, you find out along the way. Like,
oh yeah,
you know, sometimes I find out a little harder, but
yeah, YouTube helps a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot
And-
of
So I remember like back in the day with like acting, it was like my mom had a performing arts center, which was great. So I did have an unfair advantage getting in certain doorways, I guess, with other things. But when I wanted to really get into acting, I didn't know what I was doing. I remember I had to buy like these books and like go through and like look up casting agencies and send out my headshots with the little labels. And like, you don't have to do any of that shit now. So people are like, I don't know how to get into this. I'm like, you have Google. You have Google, you have Bing. Like all you have to do is type it in. That's all you have to do.
That's it.
There, like.
Well, you don't even have to do that anymore. You could build your own brand. Look at now TikTok, Instagram. You have everything you need in the
Tony.
In the little,
Tony, you know all about that.
slowly but surely. But I'm just saying now, if you want to do it, even if you didn't have that, it's just the will and drive. And the one thing I wanted to bring up is you said, you were doing this project with a lot of your friends and everything. The one thing I always mention is you will be able to see that. Like sometimes there's projects, you get all these people on, they don't have really friends, they're just doing it to do it. And you watch a movie and you're like, I don't see it. They're supposed to be boyfriend and girlfriend or best friends. And you watch and you're like,
I don't believe it.
They don't like each other.
Yeah.
When you watch a movie like this, you watch it, it's just like a little podcast or something like this putting together, and it's we know you like each other, we know you're friends. It just
soapy. Like even when we did the edible scene in Colorado, so like we didn't actually eat out. I would go out of my mind. Like I can't handle any of that. So we like I know.
I thought you captured like
hey, gotta make it realistic.
You said full reality, but
I honestly,
real.
I did really think about it, but I was like, this is not good. I have a flight. We had to film right before I had a flight, and I was like, this isn't gonna.
Plus, you have a job to do.
Like, I would have been on the no-fly list. Like, I would have freaked out. So,
you're like, cut. What's going on here?
And we had such a good. I think we got a little too into it, like that. Everybody else is like, "What the hell is going on?" Because it's like during a live event too, and it was just like so. We're so off the wall, and everybody that was in our crew, the second that we cut, everyone laughed for like 20 minutes. They couldn't stop. Like everybody thought that we did actually eat something because we got ourselves in such a ridiculous headspace that like we just have such a good time. I really think we act like small children for the most part. People are like, where are their supervisors? Do they have adults? Like,
that's acting. That's acting right there. Whether it be derived from experience in real life or whether it be, I don't know. But that's the thing. I don't know how some people can do that stuff. Like, I mean, what I mean is like work and do that stuff. You know?
I don't know. I've never, one time in my life, I had like migraines really bad. And somebody I know was like, dude, just eat one of these gummy bears. Like it's like, I eat like 3 of them. You'll be fine. And trust me, it'll help with your headache. And I was like, So I got a little daring one day at my mom's. And I was like, this isn't going to even do anything. I'll just eat the ear. I'm just going to eat the ear. It was like a standard sized gummy bear. I didn't feel anything. I was like, all right. Can I tell you, I locked myself in my mom's room. I had to have my mom like help me for 4 hours. And I was like, this person eats 3 of these. You're a monster.
People have their tolerance. Yeah.
They're like, infinite
power.
So I never tried anything until it became legal in Mass. So I was like 43 first time I tried it. Me and my wife were on a little vacation, and like I was watching a movie, and when it finally kicked in, and then as I was watching the movie, I felt like I was in the movie, and I turned and looked at my wife, and she's just like, and I was like, "You're here too," and like, you need to take the dog out. So I took the dog out, and as soon as I left that little cottage we were in, there was a picnic table like down, and I thought it was filled with people, even though it was like the middle of the night. I was filled with people. I'm like, they all know what's up. And then I walked my way down there and being like, you know, whatever, and like there was no one there. So that was my introduction to that. But
then your dog's walking you, right?
Exactly. Now, yeah. But Sergio's asking if we have a trailer. We don't yet because it's not.
No, there is a teaser trailer that's up on YouTube, but I just made it public and we tried to find it, and I suck at that apparently. So it's all
right.
Well, should be like the link, and I'll add it into show notes and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like a good time. You're surrounded by friends, and you're doing what you want to do, and it's awesome, and it's cool. Like, even though the music thing, I can understand it, but you're getting back into it a little bit. I'm a music guy myself, at heart. That's my first love. So, yeah, I just it's cool. I just wish I could do something. You know what I mean? Like,
let's do it, bro. Let's do.
Why
Let's get
are
back
you
into it.
not?
You play the bass. I do vocals.
You're old. I'm kind of old.
I'm older.
I know you're old.
He always says he's old.
That's the reason. Like, I'm hoping that the Wolfman.
He's 41.
41? Yeah, you're my age. I'm 40.
All right. I like this. I like this age bracket.
Yeah, we're good.
I'm getting close to the other age bracket. I don't like it.
No. We're gonna freeze frame you, bro.
All right. Okay.
No, it's fine, because listen, if it gets a little weird, you can just shift and say it's because you're old.
Yeah, that is
true. I already do.
But that's what he does.
I've been saying that when I was 30. I don't care. I'm ready for it. Let's go.
That's what I said. I can't wait to be a cranky old man.
Right?
Just talking shit.
So with me, like playing in clubs growing up, there would always be like one band there that was just made up of like older dudes. So I'm like, look at these old men thinking they're rock stars over here. And I'm like, I'm that guy now. So
that's like every generation. As much as you say, your parents try to tell you stuff, and it's like, yeah, whatever, and then you learn as you get older. It's like everything they said is correct, and then you try to like relay it to the next generation, and they look at you sideways, and it's like, trust me. As much as this sounds like it's like, just I'll give you a heads up. You don't have to listen to it, but I'll give you a heads up. So it's one of those things where, you live and you learn.
That's why I told my oldest, he's 14. I'm like, been there, done that. If you think about doing it, ask me about it first.
Right?
But they don't want to listen to you.
No,
he doesn't. But
your kid's
he's a good kid.
I've hung out with him. He's a good kid.
Yeah.
He seems like he's got a good head on his shoulder.
He does.
Only one shoulder though, not the other one. So I don't know. It's I'm just going to say this because it made me feel very old. I don't know if I already talked to you about it, Angel, but I had heard somewhere that if you like Back to the Future, Back to the Future happened. So he goes back to the 50s, and the time difference, like between the time that Back to the Future took place and the 50s, like it's the same as if we went back to like the late 90s, like today. So the way they actually explained it was like you go back to the 50s and it was Mr. Sandman. And now if you do it from now, it's actually the same year that Enter Sandman was like the big hit. So it's like, think about that. Like it seems like that was so much farther away.
It does.
Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's why I always say, like, I'm like, oh yeah, when I graduated high school 23 years ago. Oh, it's like, fuck.
Like, what happened?
Fuck. How long?
I'm coming up on 30 years ago.
That's what I love. Like, I don't really drink or anything. When I go out, if people have to ask me for ID, I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Take it.
Like, I know you're doing this because you have to. But
thank you.
I'm so flattered. I'm flattered.
So we're getting up close to that time. So I definitely want to make sure people know where to go to follow updates on the movie and whatnot, and whatever you have going on. So where can people go to follow the happenings?
Okay, so for everything for the film that I'm trying to get better about, there's a social media person coming on because I suck at that. Okay. So suckstosuckfilm.com is the website. Sucks to Suck Film is the Instagram. So that's the easiest for that, where you can figure everything else that's going on. All of the donation links and whatnot are right through Sucks to Suck Film. My personal you can find at Fallon Vendetta on Instagram, on TikTok that I don't use, and Twitter that I don't really use either. So, but I'm there.
Tony, yeah, he promotes his Twitter every week, and he's like, I don't use it anymore.
Yeah, Tony doesn't use his Twitter.
He's not a tweeter.
Nope.
So yeah, Sergio's asking if there's other trailers and stuff like that. Yeah, just check out our IMDb, and there's a bunch of stuff there.
Yeah, and there is a link to that as well. I think right through the Sucks to Suck website. There is for sure. You can watch it right on the Sucks to Suck website. So
nice.
And I think the merch is uploaded there now too.
Oh, nice. And then Saul, again, is Fallon, looking forward to your movie. Big thanks to Tony for promoting my second time in these podcasts. Yes.
Well,
Thank
thank
you,
you for
man.
coming. Like,
Yeah, he's asked killer questions 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah,
Doing
keep
fine.
coming on, man. Keep coming.
Yeah.
You're helping us out.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make people laugh.
You.
But yeah, exactly. So Angel, what about yourself? Where can people go to follow you?
Just hit up That Strange Show. We got new episode that just dropped, where Kevin and I talk Knock at the Cabin, and then we got a new episode coming out where we're talking about Renfield.
Yep. Then eventually the Evil Dead one comes out too.
Yeah, that'll probably be like 3 months from now once I get done editing it. No, it'll drop soon after that.
Nice.
But yeah, just That Strange Show, or you can hit me up on Chaos Manus
On Instagram, yeah.
on the IGs.
Tony, Saul saying that you know him as Windy City Dude on TikTok.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
He always comes to my lives, and always
Is
appreciate it.
he an OG? Is he an OG?
Yeah, he's been there for a while, so I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, Tony, what about yourself? Where can people go besides Windy City Dude? Where else can people find you on TikTok, and where else?
Tony has 9 Fingers on YouTube, where I do movie reviews, unboxings, anything movie related. You'll find me there. Tony has 9 Fingers on Twitter, which again, I it's just so ingrained in my life.
You have the rundown
thing that I just say it. I'm never like that's the least I'm on. But Tony has 9 Fingers on there. Tony and it's 9 Fingers on TikTok, which is my fastest growing. So that's where I go. All movie related stuff. I'll stitch here and there. Tony's Movies on Instagram, where I show off the movies behind me, and of course here on the Wicked Horror Show most Tuesdays.
Yes.
Whether we have an awesome guest or
Right.
it's just horror movie talk or whatever. So definitely check us out. I think we, definitely check out the live shows where you can ask questions, and follow along.
See our beautiful faces.
Oh, they are.
Don't do that.
None of these people listening know that I can't even come up with anything.
A beautiful
Listen.
old man.
Like I always say on TikTok, I got a face for radio. Someone said I have an awesome voice. I'm like, that's because, usually I have the camera flipped around. So that's why. God gave me that. God gave me a voice instead of a
project. You do.
I sound like Fran Drescher or something. My voice is not.
Unless you want to, then you can do that.
She's kind of hot at school.
And for myself, just a knuckle on Instagram. Besides being part of this show and That Strange Show, I'm also on Black and White Fright, which is available everywhere podcasts can be found. And one thing I just wanted to mention before we go, friend of the show, he hasn't been on in a long time, but Robert Mukes is on. Just watched the new season of I Think You Should Leave on Netflix, which is an absolutely hilarious sketch show that I absolutely love. And Robert Mukes is in the last episode of the season. I'm like, what? He plays Frankenstein.
Spoiler alert.
Which is my favorite classic monster. But so yeah, that's that. Congrats to everyone involved with your movie, and probably keep us posted when you got more info. And come back.
I'm excited because this last block is like all the gore. This is like all the good kills. So I'm like, let's go.
Yeah, you said big booms.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. All right. Well, thanks
that
for
video ending. I needed it.
Yeah.
Why not?
All right. Well, thanks for watching / listening, and until the next time. Bye.
Toodles.
Thanks, guys.